I offer my words to you. I thank you for your time, and I'll address any questions that you have.
Does a taser look like a gun?
It is shaped like a gun. There have been some developmental changes in the various products. The product that we are looking at, in fact, is a completely yellow product. So as I hold it in my hand, there is no black whatsoever. It's completely yellow. Our policy, in terms of the draft policy, if you're interested in seeing it, is currently posted on the police department's website under Police Commission announcements. And in that policy, it makes it very clear that one, even if we were to deploy them with it, it would have to be on your body opposite of where the firearm actually is.
And is that idea so that someone on the other side of this would instantly recognize that it is not a weapon, meaning not a gun?
It's twofold. We want the person to recognize that it's not a weapon, and we also want to make sure that the officer doesn't mistakenly grab a firearm.
I have a quick comment and a question. I almost feel as though this discussion is around whether guns should be used for the first time in San Francisco, and perhaps there would be equal divisiveness. What, in your estimation, Officer Ali, is the potential for impulsive, improper use of tasers, and what review process will occur?
Well, I offer to you that I think San Francisco Police Department is probably one of the most scrutinized agencies in this country. We have an independent civilian oversight board of 7 members, 4 of which are appointed by the mayor, 3 of which are appointed by the Board of Supervisors. We have an independent investigative body in the form of the Office of Citizens Complaints. We have an internal affairs investigative unit that investigates any form of misconduct. And so in this instance, I believe that if there is any deviation from policy and appropriateness of the use of this type of this weapon system, that we have mechanisms in place to ensure that that behavior is addressed and addressed quickly. And just by reading, if you read the policy, we make it very clear and what parameters in which this weapon system can be used. If you wish, I can quote a little from it.
Will there be a review within a specific period of time on the use of the tasers?
The use of force is an immediate review. Anytime an officer in the police department uses force, a sergeant is required to respond and make an evaluation as to whether or not that use of force was appropriate. There are certain uses of force that require notifications to the various entities. Obviously, the use of a firearm requires that we notify the district attorney's office, the office of the OCC, our chain of command. I'm off duty at home, I'll come in as part of the investigation, our internal affairs division on the whole nine. If there is any indicator that an officer misused the force, there is to be an immediate investigation.
Okay, yes, Wendy. I have a question about the wattage that is used. Is it one set amount? Can you lower it? Or is it enough to hurt a person? And how badly is the person usually hurt? Is there a specific weight that it might be more harmful to a smaller person rather than a bigger, heavier person?
There definitely will be impacts on different sized people. Being a larger man is going to impact me differently than perhaps someone who is more frail or skinny. Accordingly, our policy indicates in circumstances in which we should not do it, against the elderly, against a visibly pregnant person, against young people, against someone who is very thin and frail. Those persons are identified as not being the appropriate persons in which we're using this weapon system, and that's within the policy. And to go further with your question, there are 50,000. You know, it's not the volt, it's the amperage. I'm not a scientist, and I can't get into that. There was an indicator that somebody was tased 8 times. I don't know how, that happens. We have a policy that says that if it were to be used, each and every cycle has to be justified. If you cycle it one time, it's a 5-second cycle. You have to present articulable facts that justify that one cycle. If you cycle it a second time, you have to have justifiable facts as to why you cycled it a second time. If you cycle it a third time, it requires notifications on a higher level to the captains and the district stations for inquiry. Our policy prohibits using it more than 3 cycles, 3 5-second cycles. And those cycles, the time of which is built into the device itself.
What's the voltage?
It's a 50,000 watt voltage. I believe it's somewhere in the 3 to 4 amperage area.
How does that compare to the electric chair? It's 1/4.
I'm not a scientist. I could not explain to you how that compares.
One more. Last question.
Commander Ali, thank you for coming. Elliot Lewis. TASER International offers a model that does video and audio recording of the incident, the whole transaction.
Sure.
Is that part of the proposal of the equipment that would be issued to sort of document the transaction?
Well, interesting enough, our department was on a path of providing on-officer body cameras to officers. What that means is there's some 17,000 law enforcement vehicles in the country that have camera systems in the car itself. You've seen cops, you've seen all the video footage captured by it. The newest technology is actually to place a camera system on an officer. We're in the process of acquiring those camera systems. We've written the draft policy, we've deployed it. We've looked at a number of products and we believe we're in a position to select one. There is no, at this time, no connection between making certain that every officer that has a taser also has a body camera. That's something that's up for discussion, but we intend to have significantly more body cameras out in the field to the tune of over 200 than we do with the electronic control weapons.
The reason I ask is I think it can help protect against accusations of abuse. There could be video and audio documentation of the entire incident.
And that's precisely one of the reasons why we intended to go with body cameras. We found studies show that when agencies use body cameras, you see their complaints drop by some 90+%. The officers, you act your best when you're on camera. And that's what we want. We want to get the best of our officers, and that's one of the reasons why we're looking at body cameras.
Thank you so much, Commander.
Thank you.
Report from the Executive Director of the Mental Health Board, Ms. Brooke.